BCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
I can't believe I'm putting my voice to this.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Thank you for your irrelevant opinion.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
The first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I gotta say. I'm a broadcast journalist. I have a right to my opinion.
Oh, son of a...
I am the best on this microphone, in that ring, even at commentary.
There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you alongside the man who puts the slobber in Slobber Knocker, Lucas the intern.
I see what you did there. That was good.
Yeah, I was up all night putting that together.
Yeah.
Literally. No, for those who missed it at the very tail end of last week's show, scheduled to join us in about 15 minutes, WWE Hall of Fame broadcaster Jim Ross, good old JR, going to be joining us here on the program. Needless to say, I'm excited.
Oh, so am I.
No, there's so many things to what do you ask? I mean, how do you cover 40 years of Hall of Fame broadcast career in 15 minutes? The simple answer is you don't. You just ask a few questions and just kind of go along with it. But in the meanwhile, we've got quite a bit to get into. This past Sunday being the TLCS pay-per-view. Yeah, I have to throw that in there. And yes, the S does stand for stairs, contrary to popular belief. Well, okay, contrary to my belief. But anyway, the student outperforming the teacher. Holy smokes. You killed it. You got all but one match. Yes, you did. All but one match correct.
Wow.
The only one, and we were both wrong on this one. Oddly enough, the stairs match, we both had Eric Rowan winning that one and Big Show won.
Why do they have Big Show winning? They're starting to have sort of TNA-esque writing. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't know. TNA's, I was going to say, TNA's got a lot going on for them, and we'll talk about that over the course of the hour. We'll go over the rest of the results shortly. We've got a CM Punk update, actually a couple of them for you, including some audio from when he appeared on SportsCenter this past week. Yeah. Now, despite the fact that I do have my Canadian roots, I decided not to pull audio from the TSN show that he was also on that was a bit more heated. We'll put it that way. Oh, I guess you didn't hear about this. Okay, we'll go on the record about off the record coming up in a little bit. Also, Alberto El Patron, his first Ring of Honor opponent announced. We'll get into that. The Amazing Race finale. How did Robbie E. and Brooke do? We'll get into that a little bit. Also, TNA announcing a new voice for Impact Wrestling. I know there's a lot of stuff to get into, and we'll talk a little bit about it now. And obviously, coming up in a little bit, we've got JR joining the program. A lot. I don't even know where to start with. Well, obviously, I know where to start. We'll start with him coming to the Philadelphia area in a little over a month. So we'll talk all about that. Coming to the Philadelphia area Royal Rumble weekend. I talked a little bit about it last week, and we'll get more into it with JR when he joins us coming up. But the TLCS, so the New Day, you did say it was going to be a new day for the New Day, and they ended up beating Goldust and Stardust. You got that one. The ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, that was a great match.
And I didn't even get to see it because I was at a football banquet. I pulled up, to be honest.
You know you can pull it back up on the network for, how much was it again? I forgot.
I think it was like $9.99.
Yeah,
like
there we go.
$10.
Getting all the silliness out of the way now. At least trying to.
I mean, I feel like it's lost. It's that joke has lost its luster anyway.
It has a little bit. I'll admit. But even I didn't put up my wholehearted effort into it.
Yeah.
But Dolph Ziggler winning the Intercontinental Championship, the hometown. Nice to see a positive reaction in the city of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Well, they had a rough go of it. I mean, with the whole Johnny Manziel, they were already at kind of a fevered, angry pitch to begin with after his performance last Sunday.
Who'd they play again?
I think it was Cincinnati, but either way, Manziel no do so good.
Ooh, no bueno. No.
I don't know. Maybe there we go. Maybe we'll get into a little football as coming up here on WBCB in a few hours. We've got the Eagles and Redskins. So I don't know. Maybe
Saturday.
Yeah, a couple Saturday games for the NFL.
Wow, that's it's different.
Well, they're kind of squeezing it in before all the college bowl games coming up.
Ah, yeah.
Oh gosh, should we even get into Jericho on Raw? I don't know. Maybe we'll save that for the end.
As much as I love Jericho, it just...
Yeah, he kind of came across like a bit of a bully. But we'll get into that a little bit later. The rest of the card, the Usos beating Miz and Mizdow, but by disqualification. Miz using a weapon to retain the title belt.
Yep.
John Cena beating Seth Rollins in the tables match, which sets up one of the matches for the Rumble. We'll get into that in a little bit. Nikki Bella beating AJ Lee to retain the Divas title. Ryback beating Kane in the chairs match. Rusev beating Jack Swagger in a pretty quick squash, actually. And then the TLC match, Bray Wyatt beating Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose now hasn't won a pay-per-view match since before Money in the Bank.
So what was that? Payback?
I don't even know if he was at Payback. I forget what the last one was that he won, but he's lost the last 5 in a row.
Payback was the last pay-per-view with the Shield, and then it was Money in the Bank was...
By that point, they had split up. Yeah. So since he's been on his own, he is 0-5 in pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Will he turn it around for the Rumble? Well, I guess it depends on what he's doing for the Rumble. But we do know that John Cena, based on winning the tables match, will challenge Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. He's left his Minnesota home. Maybe there's a little too much snow up there. I don't know. But he'll be defending it in Philadelphia, January.
Is he actually going to bring the belt with him? The title with him.
The championship with him.
Is he going to bring the title with him?
Well, he did this past Monday when he made an appearance.
Yeah, one out of the 2 appearances he made on Raw that Monday.
Well, yeah, he at least brought it with him. It's a step in the right
like he's
direction.
holding it ransom for some. I feel like if you're not. Look, I know the whole thing with Daniel Bryan, you can't have it undefended for that long. But with Lesnar having the title, do you think that's even a good move? If you only have think it through, WWE. Think it through. Which they don't.
The 30-day rule is a wrestling thing, and now this is entertainment.
Sports entertainment. Oh.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. And the other match announced for the Rumble, of course, the 30-man Royal Rumble match. At least I'm pretty sure it's still 30. They've wavered back and forth, but I think they have said it's 30 at this point. And Roman Reigns has thrown his hat into the ring, and is the only announced entrant so far.
You know what? How you said how they're trying to shove Roman Reigns down our throats. I was playing that game, Wrestling Revolution, on my phone, and it was Just listen.
Okay. Because I'm seeing where you're going with this.
I just hired Roman Reigns for in the game, and it was like the month of January, so I decided to make a 15-man battle royal. My character came in at number 1. And I beat I know. This is quick.
Okay.
I beat everybody else. Like Kane came in with full health, and I threw him out, which is weird. I was glad I survived that. And then Roman Reigns comes in the ring, and all he does is German suplex me out of the ring, and that's it. And I'm just like, Fearon was right. Even in the games, I can't win. It wasn't even a WWE sanctioned game. I changed his name to Roman Reigns, but I knew who it was supposed to be, and it just really frustrated me because now I know he's probably winning the Rumble. It's not going to be an organic, rise to the top.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, he's over with the fans right now, but how long is it going to take before they go, let's go Roman, Roman sucks?
I don't know. I don't think they're going that far. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah.
Time will tell. It depends on who else is. I mean, there's so much there's so much time between then and now. That's what I kind of like, that there's a bit of a longer build, a 6-week build to the pay-per-view, and I think that's because we've got to get we have to get through the holidays pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, they've already, for this Monday, advertised Ho Ho Hogan. I don't know if you heard about that or not. Okay, I guess you hadn't heard that until now. Oh, okay, that's all right.
No, I heard about it. You reminded me, which.
Okay, gave you an unsettled feeling. You need to.
I laughed
need to take
sort of gagged a bit.
Need to take some medicine during the break?
No, I'll be.
You'll be all right?
I'll be fine.
Oh, goodness. Although, speaking of Raw and the Rumble, the Raw right before the Rumble, legends are returning, a few of them. WWE advertising Hogan as well as Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Shawn Michaels for the January 19th.
And Shawn Michaels.
Who briefly was in the NWO in 2002.
So the NWO.
Yes, for Raw being held in Dallas, Texas, being labeled a Raw reunion. Yeah, that one should certainly. Well, I don't know. I like when they do the nostalgic thing.
Yeah, true.
I guess this is in place of old school Raw, which they've done in the past that I really like.
Yeah, I do like old school Raw. I wish they would do that, like keep that. But of course, WWE has to change everything too much.
Well, I mean, I guess part of it is what else can they do with it, and I guess they're worried about using in current tense the letters that they're not allowed to use. So I think.
Well, it's old school Raw. It's just the.
I know, but as part of the agreement, they can't use. They can't. They have to still say WWE. They can only when showing archive footage can they use WWF.
Well, they can still have the original logo from like the Hulkamania era.
No, they have to do the W.
They could just do that. Why can't they just do that? I don't get it.
Oh, I mean, they've done it in the past. I don't know. I mean, I could go back and look at what the ratings were for the old school Raws to see if there was any kind of a spike or whatnot.
I mean, last year they had Piper on, and Punk was on Piper's Pit and the Shield. That was the last old school Raw Punk was on. Anyway.
I was going to say, feeling bitter at all? Yeah, a little bit.
Well, we'll so much.
Don't worry, we'll get more into him on in the third segment. We've got plenty of Punk to talk about to satiate you, as well as a bunch of other news. We're going to take care of our first time out here, and on the other side, we're going to have WWE Hall of Fame broadcaster Jim Ross, good old JR, joining us here on the program. We're gonna talk his appearances in Philly. We're going to talk a little about his upcoming pay-per-view in Japan. We'll talk a little barbecue sauce as well. We'll get into a bunch of different things.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon Derry.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you alongside Lucas the intern. A couple of minutes away from JR calling in, just waiting for him to do so. I guess I can talk a little bit about what's coming up, and we'll rehash it when he gets on the line here. But, of course, an afternoon with Jim Ross at the Trocadero Theater, the same day as the Royal Rumble, Sunday, January 25th. It's at 3 o'clock, and also 2 days prior to that, an evening with Jim Ross, ringside, an evening with Jim Ross at the Starland Ballroom in Sayreville, New Jersey. That's Friday, January 23rd at 7 p.m. You can get tickets for both of those events. They're available now at axs.com. So you definitely want to check that out. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, as I said, even in that short period of time, there's so much to cover with his career.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing is? The best days for us have always been the most hectic. Like I think about it, back to Wrestling with Disaster in June. It was literally show, Georges to meet Val Venus, and then right to the ECW arena, and then let's see, Sinomania, House of Hardcore.
Yeah, there's we do a lot of multiple bookings in one,
and it makes for the best nights,
best experiences. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. So I was putting together some. I threw out some questions, or I shouldn't say I threw out. So I threw out the opportunity for people to ask some questions. Some of them I know I'm not going to ask. I know one person chiming in, what's the secret ingredient in your barbecue sauce? I know he's not going to answer that.
Yeah, why would you? It's like...
There's a reason it's called a secret. Come on, Evan. Yeah, I know, I just name dropped. But I don't know. There are a number of different directions that this can go, and looks like it's certainly going to be a lot of fun. Let's talk a little, let's talk a little TNA in the meanwhile. As I mentioned, TNA has announced that there's a new voice of Impact Wrestling, Josh Matthews.
Wow.
Is going to be joining Taz as the Impact Wrestling broadcast team starting January 7th when they're on Destination America.
What happened to Mike Tenay?
I'm getting to that. I have that answer for you. That's coming up shortly. TNA Executive VP of Television, he said in a press release, Josh Matthews is a dynamic talent who brings great energy and experience to commentating. I've had the pleasure to work with Josh for many years and know that he, alongside Taz, will captivate fans and enhance the viewing experience. That was John Gaborik, the Executive VP of Television. He spent some time over in WWE as well. So that's how he's worked alongside Josh Matthews. Now, to answer the immediate question that came to mind, what's going on with Mike Tenay? Well, they've got a new weekly series starting January 17th. TNA Entertainment announcing a new Saturday show on Destination America called Impact Wrestling Unlocked. It debuts Saturday the 17th at 10 a.m. Eastern. Mike Tenay hosting the weekly series that will dive deeper into the most recent episode of Impact Wrestling with exclusive content and never-before-seen footage. In addition, each week during Impact Wrestling Unlocked, Tenay will reveal the Impact Wrestling Top 5, a power ranking of the top 5 heavyweights in TNA. It's a ranking system that's sure to spark controversy, debate, and most importantly, competition. Kind of intrigued to see how a ranking system would work.
True. That is a very interesting thing, especially hopefully this could, I mean, as much as we bag on TNA, I don't like to see businesses fail. You know, hopefully this will be something that'll give TNA the turnaround, because when there's two companies going at it, that's when the material is the best and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, competition, that's what made the Monday Night Wars so great. Yeah. But at the same time, it was everybody. I mean, Vince McMahon said it on the podcast. He said it was pretty much who could outlast the other, and WCW was throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, out there, and eventually they ran short on ideas.
Yeah.
That's why you saw Kiss on Monday night, for example. Well, no, RoboCop was but that was 1990. That was.
Oh?
Yeah, that was very early. That was pre-Monday Night Wars.
Wow.
Another edition of Educate the Intern.
Yeah.
No, the Kiss was certainly a big one. Having David Arquette win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, that was, although that happened on Thunder, so that was a little bit different. But
it's still WCW.
You get the idea. It was promoting Ready to Rumble. They were running out of ideas.
You know what the funny thing is, though, because I don't want to see TNA fail because they have a lot of great talent. I mean, the matches are great. It's just the writings, just not that good.
Well, that's something we can bring up with JR is how to bring the fans back to being interested going forward, as opposed to kind of event by event. Just kind of everything feeling individualized almost, kind of an a la carte, as opposed to bringing a story arc along that'll keep people intrigued from episode to episode.
Like NXT is doing it right down there. They really are. And I've said this before. It's sort of sad to see when developmental is doing better writing than, the big leagues itself. I mean, you even with the Baron Corbin, Bull Dempsey, just a subtle glare at each other really set up something. You could see a potential rivalry in the future. And you even brought that up to me when we were watching it. It was a great. It just brings great storytelling. That match with Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn, if that was on a pay-per-view, they would have eaten that up.
I think it definitely would have. Part of it, I think, is, I don't know, this kind of mindset that you have entertainment writers versus old school wrestling bookers, I guess, for lack of a better term.
True.
Well, yeah, because you had, I think there was a picture that Triple H had tweeted of him along with Dusty Rhodes and a couple of other guys who were there at the NXT taping. And, Dusty's the main guy putting a lot of that stuff together down there. And he's a great brain to pick when it comes to ideas for storylines and things of that nature.
And then you try to get entertainment like Grumpy Cat. Look, Grumpy Cat is not what's going to get you good fans, like new fans. Like, yeah, it will, but you got to keep those new fans coming every single week. And you got to have a storyline that really grabs the fans. The one thing that fans love about wrestling is because it's a storyline that you get, you connect to it. You emotionally attach yourself to a rivalry. And like I keep coming back to Edge and Undertaker. I thought that was a great rivalry because they kept them Daniel Bryan and the Authority. They kept you want to see somebody succeed, or you want to see somebody get the crap kicked out of them, Yeah,
I don't know. We could analyze this to ad nauseum, basically, but yeah, we're still. I was gonna say we're still looking to hear from JR. He should be calling in momentarily. In the meanwhile, some other news and notes: more video on demand content to be added to WWE Network starting tomorrow.
Nice.
Beginning tomorrow, WWE's 12 Days of Attitude. It'll bring new video on demand content to the WWE Network. Subscribers can unlock new programming from the Attitude Era, including full episodes of Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, as well as Sunday Night Heat.
Ooh, wow.
It'll be among the content available, and conveniently, it runs through Thursday, January 1st, when a new subscription period begins. So people can pluck down another.
You know what else they're doing? You get
$9.99.
a full week of. If you buy a full week of the network, you get a free Roku streaming stick, which. That's another way to watch the network. Full year of the network.
Yeah, that's.
Go ahead.
WWE
is not the only people that are doing Roku. For all you wrestling fans that support the Monster Factory, they're going to be having.
Oh yeah, I knew that was coming.
I'm just saying, I'd want the Roku stick for that. I mean, I was very upset I didn't get to make it to the factory. I mean, I had a good time on Saturday, getting the family Christmas tree, but
Oh yeah, for their show.
Yeah.
Last week, man, where does the time go?
Apparently down the toilet sometimes.
I guess that's one way of putting it.
I just made a Vince McMahon poop joke. I apologize. I'm going to do something that...
No. One other thing I'll tell you about, Alberto El Patron. I mentioned earlier his first Ring of Honor opponent announcing via Twitter that Alberto El Patron, formerly Alberto Del Rio, will face Christopher Daniels.
Ooh.
That should be good on the January 3rd event in Nashville, Tennessee. This is an interesting time coming up in the next few weeks, as there's a lot of change going on. Different days of the week as far as different programs, TNA moving from Spike TV to Destination America, and hopefully new brings kind of a positive swell.
Yeah, again, you have a lot of great talent on TNA. You don't want to see them fail. I don't think you want to see anybody fail unless you really dislike them. I don't dislike TNA. They have a lot of wrestlers I enjoy watching, the Hardy Boys especially. I like Austin Aries. I'm a big fan of Austin Aries. Just watching him at House of Hardcore was great. They have wrestling talent. It's just the fact that the writing, it's not up to par. Neither, WWE's is slightly better. They're starting to bounce around with not a lot of arcs. It's starting to turn into an episode of Family Guy. One week they're doing this, the next week they're just barely
a lot of tangents and things like that. A lot of inconsistencies, I guess, is a good word to use.
Yeah.
Not really sure. Working on JR calling. He should be calling us momentarily here. May have to take another time out and have him close out the show with us here in the third segment.
Yeah.
Make some phone calls, see if I can get that set up. So The Amazing Race. I don't know if you watched that at all. No, not really. Yeah, I was gonna say Friday nights you usually have a lot of other things going on. I'm sure.
I'm trying to watch SmackDown again because football season's over. So.
But TNA pair Robbie E. and Brooke Tessmacher finishing 4th out of the 4 finalists on this season's Amazing Race. The season finale was last night, and the wrestlers finished last at a mid-race point in Los Angeles after getting lost driving on the 10 freeway. But I mean, still, to go from
Robbie E, there's a beach in you're trying to make.
I don't think it was that.
The beaches, dude. Come on, you gotta.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the left coast, though. I mean, Robbie E's a Jersey Shore guy.
A beach you'll always find a beach when you're.
A beach is a beach is a beach. Is that kind of where you're going with this?
A beach is a beach.
Oh goodness. All right, so Chris Jericho. I know. You didn't want me to bring him up, but I'm bringing him up anyway. I don't know. I thought he came across as very bullying on Monday.
Jericho's just starting to,
I mean, he booked himself against Paul Heyman over $200 that Heyman owed him from 20 years ago.
They thought it would make a good storyline arc. To be honest, they're just basically, I feel as if they're trying to get the fans just, please watch, just grabbing them by the shoulders. We'll have Jericho just watch.
Just watch something, anything. Is that kind of where you think it's?
Just just throwing stuff at a wall to see if it'll stick.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just, trying to get Jericho on, and even the talk is Jericho with Rusev. I mean, the need for talk shows in WWE, Miz TV, all you really can expect out of a talk show with Miz TV, Talk is Jericho, is a fight to break out or some sort of confrontation. I don't see the need. You'll never see a Talk is Jericho in WWE that hasn't ended with somebody coming out there and picking a fight with somebody. That's really the reason they have them. My guess on Edge had on the cutting edge. My guess is The Undertaker. You're just going to push his buttons until he comes and beats the crap out of you. And Jericho was just making stupid jokes, saying how he should show Lana his I think what was his Putin, something. It just.
Oh yeah, well there were a lot of.
They're trying to get cheesy laughs out of the
Sputnik,
audience.
That's what it was.
Sputnik. You don't
they were going for various communist Russian jokes, things like that.
Yeah, you can't have stuff like that. You're trying to get laughs out of the audience. It's sort of just.
Well, I don't know. I mean, how many 10-year-old kids even know about the Sputnik? Or maybe they just think, oh, it sounds Russian, so it's kind of funny. I don't know. I barely know what the Sputnik is. I need to go back and look at my history or something.
I think it's a part of it was a Russian space program, I think.
Speaking of history, we got Today in Wrestling History coming up in a little bit. We'll have birthdays, and we're hoping to have JR here. I spoke with him right before the program, so there may be just a little bit of miscommunication. We may have to take our second time out just a hair early and see if we can get everything squared away, and then we'll look forward to talking to him on the other side. Think that's a pretty good idea?
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. All right, we'll be back. Hopefully with JR here. I think there might have been a miscommunication or two here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, December 20. On this date in 1999, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Baltimore, Maryland. In the main event, Bret Hart pinned Goldberg to win the vacated WCW World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2009, TNA held its Final Resolution pay-per-view. In the main event, AJ Styles pinned Daniels to retain the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2010, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Austin, Texas. In the main event, Jerry Lawler, John Morrison, and Randy Orton defeated Alex Riley, Sheamus, and The Miz in a six-man tag team match. This has been Today in Wrestling History, December 20.
Hi, this is Jim Cornette, and you're listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Derry on 1490 WBCB.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you alongside Lucas the Intern DeSangro. And I'm proud to have on the line here a Hall of Famer, an amazing broadcaster, and somebody who I know we've all grown up with in our youth, and somebody who's going to be coming to town in a little over a month from now, Jim Ross, good old JR. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Where to start? I know it's as I was saying before we had you on here. Where to start with 40 years of plus of broadcasting, and how do you sum it up in 15 minutes? Well, let's first talk about what's going on with you coming to the area here. You've got two shows coming up: Royal Rumble weekend, the ringside and evening with Jim Ross at the Starland Ballroom in Sayreville, New Jersey, Friday, January 23rd at 7 p.m. and then on Royal Rumble Sunday, the January 25th, an afternoon with Jim Ross at the Trocadero Theater. I'm looking forward to going to that. That's a 3 o'clock start, so people still have the chance to go see you and go see the Royal Rumble as well. Kind of give us a little bit of insight as to what these shows are about for those who haven't been to one of those or those who are looking to go to one of them.
Well, the shows are, I get up and do a little bit of a monologue, tell some stories that relate to my career and kind of some background information on how I got into wrestling and things of that nature. It's short in that respect, 15, 20 minutes max. And then we get right into the Q&As, the question and answers for the audience. And I've always had the philosophy that if the fans are going to take time out of their life and their schedule to buy a ticket and come see me, that I'm not going to restrict the questions that they can answer or ask, excuse me. So there's a no-holds-barred Q&A session, some of my stories, anecdotes, just things that have occurred in my journey that I feel like are worth mentioning. But basically, it's the fans and myself interacting and having a great time, and the question and answers are always so unpredictable. They're very unique. You find out what's on people's minds. We also do a VIP meet and greet ticket in Sayreville. The meet and greet starts at 6, and the show starts at 8 in Sayreville at the Starland Ballroom. And then in Philly, on the day of the Royal Rumble, as you mentioned, and we hope to see you there, the meet and greets start at 1 o'clock, and then the show starts at 3 o'clock. But we'll be done in plenty of time for everybody to get to the Troc back down to watch the Royal Rumble if that's their intention. So I think it's a fun Royal Rumble weekend, and stories, and some are funny, some are poignant, some are eye-opening. It's just an opportunity for me to give back. The VIP ticket holders get a free bottle of JR's barbecue sauce. I sign their memorabilia. We take pictures. And I make sure that I don't hustle people through the line. I want to make sure that people feel good about being a VIP member and doing the meet and greet. So those are fun parts for me. But these are really good shows. I can give back and interact with fans. I'm still a fan. So we did really well with them last year. The year before that, I did a tour of UK. So it's been a labor of love, and I really enjoyed doing these shows. It kind of gets me back to the performance mode, hooks me back up with the fans, and so it's going to be a lot of fun out there. And I have never been to Sayreville. I know that the Starland Ballroom's got a lot of notoriety, and name and then been around for a long time. And then a couple of my friends that live in Philly said you're playing the best room in town for what you do in the Trocadero Theater. So tickets start at $20. We're not trying to rob anybody. Tickets start at $20, and they're on sale now at www.axs.com.
AXS.com. I know where I'm going right after the show here. You sold me on the with the barbecue sauce along with it. I got a couple. I was going to say my intern's already salivating over here. I've got a bottle or two of Main Event mustard at home. Love that with the Philly soft pretzels up here. I'm sure if any of that'll be with you, or well, I guess I'll have to bring some of my own and maybe share with the group.
We're going to bring some new posters that I'm working with an artist in Philly called Box Brown. We are going to have some limited edition numbered and signed posters. We're going to have some new photos. And then the plan is to bring some of our products, sauces, mustard, ketchup, et cetera, to both shows. So that if somebody wants to buy some, they can and not have to worry about freight or shipping and all that good stuff. So they can buy it, leave with it, and it's pretty clean transaction. So the shows are fun. I really have a great time with them. They make me feel as good about being in the business as it does about just doing the show. I enjoy the interaction with the fans. I always have. I think that's because I started as a fan. I didn't start as anything else but a fan that backed into the wrestling business.
I can certainly relate to that, and I was talking with you a little bit ahead of time with that. When I first came into watching wrestling as a fan was right when you came into the WWE, Wrestlemania IX, the world's largest toga party. I'm sure you remember it well. Do you have any stories or recollections or anecdotes from that?
Just a lot of nerves. I was very nervous and very apprehensive because I'd worked 19 years in the wrestling business before Vince hired me to come to WWE, and it really was not decided until after I had already arrived that I would be working doing play-by-play for Wrestlemania IX. So that was my debut, and it's challenging when you look back at it that your first at bat is at WrestleMania. I worked with a three-man team there that afternoon with Bobby Heenan and Randy Savage. And I hadn't worked a great deal of three-man teams. Never was a fan of them. And more importantly, the promoters that I worked for were not fans of them. So it was all new. It was daylight. The sun was glaring on our monitors. We were in togas, and we were outdoors, and with a three-man team. A lot of nuances for a broadcaster, and then it's WrestleMania. So that was a day that I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of nerves, and just wanted to really do a good job. And so it'll always be a special event for me because it really started off my 21-year run with WWE, which I have and had and enjoyed since day one.
Wow, that's a lot to soak in there. Now, you mentioned you prefer two-man teams, and you certainly had a lot of great ones. It would be unfair for me to ask a particular favorite, although you worked with Jerry Lawler for so long, but I will ask this. What are some of the differences as far as preparation for different color commentators, whether it's Jerry Lawler, whether it was a Bobby the Brain Heenan, whether it was Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse Ventura, for example? What are some of the differences as far as preparing with some of those different color commentators?
Really none. I prepared my game the same, and whether it be done wrestling or Falcon football or the NFL or the XFL, I have a way that I enjoy preparing and gathering information I feel like that I need to help me make the broadcast better. And then you just you have your info there, and you just do your best at interfacing with your three partners, so everybody gets their share of mic time. I think the key to that deal, and it's hard to tell guys this sometimes because I think you're being overbearing, is that the play-by-play guy is the lead guy. He brings you in the segments, takes you out of the segments. He starts and finishes each piece of business. So, and then you want to bring them in, and so everything fits. It doesn't sound like you're over-talking a TV show, because it isn't radio. But I think the key thing is you encourage your partners and all of us in the broadcast team to listen to each other. If you listen to each other, then you know how to continue a thought. You know how to express your thoughts on a matter. And so sometimes it can be misconstrued as, well, just listen to me and everything's going to be cool. And all that merely means is if you hear what I'm saying and then you can continue on to my sentences, or you can segue out of my thought into your own. But it can't be disjointed. It can't be disconnected. So being able to listen to each other, and that goes to the play-by-play guy listening to his partner as well. So there's as much to do about listening in a three-man team as there is about talking. So, but I don't quote unquote hate. I'm not a hater, period. But I don't dislike, disdain the three-man team. It's just a fact that I like the two-man team better. That's all.
It's a preference thing.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Trying to think of where I want to go next here. This may seem a little bit lighthearted, and I know sometimes you get these questions on your blog, JR's, at jrsbarbecue.com. Give that a quick plug. But in doing a little bit of research for the interview here, I noted that it's definitely something that you didn't prefer, but you actually have a winning in-ring record at 5-3-1. How did getting in the ring?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Oh, wow.
That's new info to me. I didn't know about 5-3-1. So.
Yeah, in your 9 WWE matches, you do have a winning record. How about that? But
I tried to erase most of those situations out of my mind. So, but that's new information. That's good stuff, Fearon. That's good.
There you go. Gives you a little something to boast about. But my question, kind of leading off from that, was how did getting in the ring how did that come up in discussion with creative? I mean, who came up with the idea of, hey, we're going to put JR in the ring?
Well, it wasn't me. I wasn't involved in that decision making. It was just the fact that they came up with ideas that involved me. And then it was brought to my attention, hey, look, you might want to bring some stuff to get in the ring with, some jeans or whatever, because we're going to do a little angle with you at TV, and you'll be involved in the ring. So to me, it was just like being, you're part of a ensemble cast on this particular episode, but the ensemble is involved. Your role calls for you to do blank. And I've always tried to be a team player, and no matter where I worked, I felt like it was good for job security, and it was just quite frankly the right thing to do. So I didn't really get a lot of advance notice, just enough notice to make sure that when we left Connecticut, that I was packed accordingly, because I normally wouldn't have taken ring attire, so to speak, to do a broadcasting gig. So it was just, I never was very comfortable in that environment because I never thought I was very good at it, and I hadn't had any training, and I was a total novice. I've said it before, I was kind of like a cow on ice, a little bit clumsy, and a lot clumsy. So it was never something that I set out to be a part of. It was just a role that I fulfilled on that the company needed, and trying to be a team player. But it wasn't my first choice of things to do. I never thought again that I was real good at it, and I always thought too that I was taking up TV time that could have been better used for one of the wrestlers who actually have been trained, and this is going to be their livelihood. My livelihood was never going to be as an in-ring guy. My livelihood was going to be earned describing the action. And
you certainly have. Talking with WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross, and you're going to be bringing some of that action. Right, what a way to spend a birthday weekend coming up in early January. You're going to be over in Japan. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, Jeff Jarrett had reached out to me for the first time in, 15 years, because we had not spoken to each other since he left WWE in 1999, I think it was.
No Mercy, in October '99.
Yeah, we thought that I thought that he had, we had made a deal to get him past the pay-per-view, and everything was going to be fine, but, he had a different interpretation of our agreement. So we just didn't have the occasion or the need, or just didn't come up to talk in those 15 years. So he got a hold of me and was interested in finding out if I was, he was interested in finding out if I had any interest in broadcasting the Wrestle Kingdom 9 event on January 4th on pay-per-view. And I said, well, not really. I'm very happy doing what I'm doing. I'm really, really busy. I'm not really seeking to do more wrestling at this point in time. Don't mean I won't change my mind. I said, but why don't you talk to Barry Bloom, who's my manager, and see if you guys can come to some happy ground. And I said, I'll consider it. I'm not going to tell you no, but it's just not something I don't want to give you the impression that I'm overly optimistic about doing it. And I had already made family plans. It was my birthday's the 3rd of January. My wife and I are going to Vegas. We're going to go watch the UFC. It's something we'd planned for a long time, and we're both looking forward to it. And so I told my manager, I said, look, I'm really not interested in doing it. If it's the right deal, I'll sort of consider it. And so they worked out their their math, so to speak. And in the meantime, I started watching New Japan Wrestling on YouTube videos and other videos, and asking buddies of mine that I knew followed it, that are in the wrestling business, and about it. I'd had AJ Styles on my podcast. We talked a little bit about New Japan. So between watching all the videos, I kind of became a fan. I said, well, this is good stuff. I knew it was kind of an underground cult following in a lot of areas of the United States because people were watching these pay-per-views. So I started watching it. I liked what I saw. It was kind of a throwback. It had a lot of whistles and bells, but when the bell rang, they became wrestlers again. And their psychology, their physicality, how aggressive they were, how innovative they were, really captured my imagination. So then the math got right, and then I had to make a yay or nay, and what I'd seen I'd like. So we postponed my birthday weekend, and so I'll be flying over to Tokyo. I think we leave on January 1st, so I'm going to miss all the bowl games of consequence, which is going to be a bummer. First time in my life I've missed the January 1st bowls. And the birthday plans are postponed for a while. No big deal there. And so we made our decision. But I think the product and I kind of found each other. The opportunity popped up, and then I did my due diligence, watched a bunch of matches, liked what I saw, and then made the agreement that I would do the play-by-play on a one-off deal. We have an agreement to do one show. So it could very well be the last one that I do. I don't know that. I don't want to advertise that like the wrestlers that retire 45 times. But I don't have anything else scheduled. So based on that, it very well could be the last major pay-per-view that I ever do play-by-play on. I can see myself setting in, maybe WWE wants me to come back and do a match here or a match there. I don't even know that. We haven't talked about it. But those things are obviously on the table. But as far as me doing the whole show and being the lead play-by-play guy, this could very well be it.
How about that? Kind of riding off into the sunset a la John Wayne, right?
Yeah, that's actually a question. Hi, I'm the intern. I've been quiet for most of this interview, being a good little soldier for Fearon. I actually had a John Wayne question because, you talk a lot of wrestling. I thought I'd give you a curveball. So what do you think about the True Grit remake?
I thought it was, I was like a lot of diehard John Wayne fans. I thought I was uncomfortable with it at first. Remaking True Grit was a little sacrilegious on the surface until I saw it. And actually, a friend of mine in Hollywood sent me a tape DVD of it before it came out, and I watched it. And I felt like at the end of it, it was kind of a homage. It was like honoring the memory of John Wayne. So it wasn't like trying to replace him, because who's going to do that? No living actor can do that in the John Wayne role. So I thought that it was basically a tribute. And looking at it with those eyes, I had no issues with it. I like the little entertainment and the creative tweaks. But, there'd only be one Duke. But I didn't have it. After I saw the movie and after I thought about it and after it was over, I had no issues with it. But when I first heard that the movie was going to be made, it was one where I probably said, well, I will go see that, because I'm not going to go see a fake John Wayne. I'm going to go see. But I ended up seeing it at home on DVD, and I thought that they did a real nice job in honoring the memory of this movie and John Wayne's presence in it.
Wow, that's terrific. JR, I want to thank you. We're just about running up on the top of the hour here, but I want to thank you for taking some time out of your very hectic schedule. Looking forward to hearing you for New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 9 coming January 4th, and look forward to seeing you over the course of the Royal Rumble weekend. I know I'll be at the Trocadero Theater show on the 25th prior to the Royal Rumble.
So will I.
We appreciate it, Ron. And you just if you can, all the help you guys can give us, all the help our friends in Philly can give us, and joining us, I think you won't regret the show. Tickets start at $20 at www.axs.com, and I thank you for your support. And if I can do anything else for you, if I can come back on at some point in time after I get back from Japan, just let me know.
Oh, absolutely. We'll definitely get together on that. Jim Ross, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. And thanks to you all of you out there for listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly. Stay tuned. Nick Cataldi's next here on 1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton.
Serving you better than ever before. This is 1490 WBCB.